You ever help a stranger at night and later wish you hadn't? Not because they were rude. Not because they didn't say thank you. But because deep down, something told you this person isn't right. I made that mistake once. And some nights, I still wonder, did someone die because of it? It was early November, one of those Kentucky nights where the fog creeps low and the road feels like it's folding in on itself. I'd been hauling a load of electrical supplies from Detroit to Birmingham, dead tired and desperate to hit the next rest stop before midnight. The highway was empty. Nothing but narrow lanes, tree walls pressing in, and the kind of darkness that makes your headlights feel like a suggestion, not a promise. I'd just passed through a blink and you'll miss it town called Upton, when I spotted it. A silver sedan on the shoulder, hazards blinking like a slow heartbeat. Trunk popped open. One guy, crouched by the rear tire, waving me down. Now any trucker with more than 6 months under his belt will tell you. You don't stop. Not at night. Not on empty stretches. Not unless it's another rig, and even then, you think twice. But something about him disarmed me. Mid-20s maybe. Clean hoodie. No beard, no slouch, no panic. He looked like someone's cousin home from college. He stood up, gave a weak little wave like he was embarrassed. Flat, he mouthed. I slowed. Real slow. My rig hissed as I pulled about 20 feet past his car. Heart pounding. Not from fear, really. Just that weird sixth sense truckers develop. The one that tingles in your chest when something feels off, even if your eyes can't explain why. I climbed down with my flashlight. You good? I called out. He nodded but pointed to the wheel. No jack. I figured fine. Be quick, be cautious. I grabbed mine from the undercarriage, tossed a wrench in the other hand. The air smelled weird. Not awful, just strange. Metallic. Like someone left copper pennies baking in a microwave. I brushed it off. Probably roadkill nearby. He was polite. Too polite maybe. Quiet but respectful. Thanked me at least 3 times before I'd even touched the tire. I asked where he was headed. He just shrugged. Passing through. That's when I noticed no bags in the back seat. No phone charger. No jacket. The car wasn't messy, it was empty. I told myself maybe he just packed light. Maybe he was relocating. Maybe his stuff was stolen. But when we finished swapping the tire, he gave me this smile tight-lipped, almost rehearsed. Like he was trying to look grateful but didn't know how. He offered me cash. I refused. Said, "Safe travels," and walked back to my cab. As I shut the door, I glanced in the mirror. He was still there. Standing by his car. Hands in his pockets. Watching. Not waving. Not leaving. Just watching. By the time I hit Bowling Green, it was creeping up on 1 a.m. I passed a sign for a rest stop just off I-65, not a truck plaza or a Love's, just one of those old, almost forgotten pull-offs with faded vending machines and too many trees. You know the kind. The ones where the security lights flicker like horror movie cliches and no one really wants to stop unless they have to. Well, I had to. I pulled into a corner spot away from the other rigs. Always preferred it that way, less noise, less small talk, fewer eyes. The night air was damp and heavy. Crickets had gone quiet. Even the occasional owl calls had faded. I shut down the engine, made a note in my logbook, and leaned back with a ham sandwich from my cooler. Tossed on a podcast. One of those paranormal shows with grainy collars and gravel-voiced hosts. Funny how real life can upstage fiction without even trying. About 20 minutes in, I felt the urge to use the restroom. The building was down a short path, past a stretch of trees that probably looked innocent during the day. But that night, the woods looked alive. As I walked, I kept my flashlight low, just enough to catch my footing. A breeze rustled the branches above, but the air on the ground stayed still, too still. And that's when I saw it. Movement. About 20 yards off the paved path, just past the tree line, something was dragging something. A person. Hunched. Slow. Deliberate. Whatever they were pulling was long, heavy, limp. My first thought, maybe it's a camper. Maybe a homeless guy moving gear. Maybe an animal carcass. Something, anything explainable. But then my eyes adjusted. And I saw the hoodie. The same hoodie the guy from earlier was wearing. The same jeans. Same build. Same slow, silent steps. And what he was dragging. That wasn't camping gear. That wasn't firewood. It was shaped like a body. I couldn't breathe. My whole body froze halfway between instinct and denial. My brain raced to find a reason not to panic, while my gut screamed run. The figure didn't look back. He didn't hesitate. He just dragged that thing deeper into the woods, vanishing behind twisted tree trunks and dead leaves. I backed away slowly, barely blinking, afraid to make a sound. My boots felt too loud on the pavement. Every twig snap might give me away. I climbed back into my cab and slammed the door shut. Locked it. Then shut off the interior lights. My cab was dark now, just me and the creeping silence. I peeked through the curtain toward the trees. Nothing. No more movement. Just shadows. Still and watching. I sat like that for maybe an hour. Didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't even breathe right. I thought about calling the cops, but what would I say? Hey, I saw a guy dragging a body. Maybe. In the dark. No license plate. No name. No proof. It sounded like a bad dream. A stupid trucker's ghost story. And if I was wrong? They'd think I was hot. Or worse. Still. I couldn't shake the image. The slow, mechanical pull. The way his arms didn't even flinch, like he'd done it before. I barely slept that night. Every crack of a branch or rustle of wind made my heart seize. I kept checking the side mirrors. Expecting to see him there standing. Smiling. Watching. But he never came back. By sunrise, I was almost convinced it hadn't happened. Almost. I started the engine, rolled out with the rest of the early risers, and tried to lose the memory in my rearview mirror. But here's the thing, some images don't fade. They etch themselves into your memory like frostbite. Silent. Permanent. And this one? It had teeth. 2 months later, I was rooted back down the same stretch of I-65. Different load. Different schedule. But when I saw the sign for that rest stop outside Bowling Green, I didn't plan to pull in. Didn't mean to. But something in me, something rotten and curious and unfinished, pulled my hand to the wheel. It was early evening. Sky just turning that rust orange color that makes you feel like the day's trying to hide something before night falls. The lot was nearly empty. One other rig. A white SUV near the vending machines. And that same damn corner spot waiting like an old friend with bad news. I parked. Killed the engine. For a moment, I just sat there, staring into the trees. Everything looked normal in the daylight. Smaller. Less threatening. But the second I stepped out and walked toward the woods, that old feeling, the one I'd buried, came back hard. Crawling up my spine. I spotted something I hadn't noticed before. A trail. Narrow. Worn. Hidden by overgrowth, but unmistakably there. The kind of trail that doesn't get made by accident, the kind you only find if you're looking. I should have turned around. Should have climbed back into my cab and hauled ass back to the main road. But I didn't. Instead, I pulled out my flashlight and stepped into the brush. The trail twisted like a bad thought, winding deeper into a dense patch of trees. Every step felt like crossing a line. The noise of the highway faded until there was nothing but the crunch of my boots and the occasional branch snapping underfoot. About 200 yards in, I saw it. A pile of leaves, twigs, stones, and something blue sticking out from underneath. I stopped breathing. Stepped closer. It was a tarp, the kind used on construction sites or camping trips. But this one had been buried. Not gently either. Someone had tried to hide it. There were rocks placed over it, large ones. Deliberate. I stood there, heart thudding in my ears. I should have walked away. But I didn't. I reached down and pulled one corner of the tarp free. The smell hit me first. Sour. Sweet. Wrong. Like meat gone bad in the sun mixed with something older. Something sick. Beneath the tarp, clothes. A flannel shirt. Jeans. Not folded. Just, tangled. I didn't check for more. I didn't want to know. Didn't want to see. I dropped the tarp, backed away so fast I almost tripped over a root. I turned and ran, crashing through branches, not caring about the noise now. When I reached the lot again, I felt like I'd come up for air after nearly drowning. I didn't call the cops. I should have. But I didn't. I sat in my cab for nearly an hour, staring out at the woods. Shaking. I told myself maybe someone already found it. Maybe it was old. Maybe it wasn't what I thought. But I knew. And that was the worst part, knowing and still leaving. I finished my route in silence. No music. No podcasts. Just the hum of the engine and the weight of that tarp pressing against the back of my skull. I checked the news for days. Weeks. Missing person bulletins. Anonymous posts on Reddit. Nothing. No reports. No bodies. No investigation. Nothing. Like it never happened. Like he knew exactly what he was doing. To this day, I wonder what would have happened if I'd done more. If I'd called it in. If I'd chased after him that night. If I'd yelled. Or followed. Or dared to break the silence. But I didn't. And I'll carry that with me forever. Because some choices, the ones we make in the dark, when no one's watching, they're the ones that haunt us most. So if you're ever out there, driving alone on a long haul, and you see someone waving you down on the side of the road, just remember this. Not everyone's stranded. Not everyone's lost. Some people are exactly where they plan to be. And they're waiting for someone just like you to stop. You ever take a wrong turn that doesn't feel wrong, until it's too late? That's what happened to me in the fall of 2022. I was 38, working long-haul routes for a mattress company, crisscrossing the Midwest like I had for over a decade. I'd driven thousands of miles, seen hundreds of towns, some friendly, some weird, some barely even towns. But none of them felt like this. I was making decent time that day. Thought I'd pull off for a coffee and maybe stretch my legs. I didn't recognize the name on the exit sign. Hollow Creek. Sounds quiet, right? Maybe even peaceful. The kind of small town where gas is cheap, the pie's fresh, and no one asks too many questions. It wasn't on my map. Didn't show up on GPS either, just a short gray road cutting through the trees, leading to a little town center that felt forgotten by time. The moment I rolled in, something twisted in my gut. There weren't many people out, but the ones I saw, I'll never forget it. A woman crossed the street in front of me. Brown coat, black boots, her hair tied up in that loose bun I used to tease her about. She looked up. Same face. Same eyes. Same nervous blink. It was my ex-wife. I hit the brakes. Stared. Jaw clenched so tight I thought my teeth would crack. She was gone. I told myself it wasn't her. Couldn't be. Just someone who looked similar. A cruel coincidence. But then I saw another. Outside a bakery. Same posture. Same fidgeting with her sleeve, a habit she never grew out of. I kept driving, slow now. Past storefronts with peeling paint and window mannequins dressed like they'd never heard of the internet. I passed 4 more people, all of them wearing her face. Not just lookalikes. Exact copies. Identical eyes. Identical lips. Even the subtle scar above her eyebrow she got when we were kids, riding bikes down Maple Hill Road. I felt sick. Pulled into a small parking lot beside a diner, palms sweaty on the wheel. I hadn't thought about her this much in years. She died 5 years ago, a wreck on an icy highway outside Amarillo. It tore me up. I spiraled. Tried to move on. But now she was everywhere. I stepped inside the diner, the bell jingling above the door like it always does in small town horror stories. And the waitress? She turned. Her again. Her voice was soft, just like I remembered. Coffee. That's all she said. I nodded, sat in the corner booth by the window. I didn't touch the menu. Didn't touch the coffee. Just watched. The streets moved like clockwork. People walking in slow, measured patterns. No laughter. No rush. And all of them, her. I don't remember leaving the diner. I must have blacked out for a second, or maybe time just skipped. I know I didn't eat. I didn't pay. No one asked me to. No one spoke after that first cup of coffee hit the table. When I stepped outside, the town felt quieter. Heavier. Even the wind had stopped blowing. I walked back to my truck, gripping my keys so hard they left marks in my palm. And then I saw it. A note, tucked under my windshield wiper, the kind you'd expect to find in a high school parking lot, not out here. The paper was wrinkled and damp, like it had been there for years. The writing? Shaky. Uneven. And the message was only 4 words long. You can't leave. Not yet. I froze. Checked every corner. Every alley. Every window. Nothing moved. But I knew I was being watched. I jumped into the cab, slammed the door, locked it 3 times over. No signal. My phone was just a black screen with a red X where the bars should have been. I tried the engine. It turned over fine, but every time I glanced at the rearview mirror, I saw her face. In the diner window. Behind a gas pump. In the reflection of a store display across the street. She was everywhere. My wife, the woman I buried, staring back at me with dozens of different outfits, different postures, but the same haunted eyes. I peeled out of that parking lot like the devil himself was chasing me. But the road out of town? Gone. The same loop of streets circled back again and again. The gas station. The diner. The bakery. The hardware store with mannequins missing hands. I passed them 3, 4, 5 times before I realized the horrifying truth. I wasn't just lost. I was trapped. At the next intersection, I saw a man standing beneath a broken street lamp. He wasn't her. He was the first face that wasn't hers since I'd entered Hollow Creek. Tall. Pale. Dressed in black. He stared at me, expression blank, and gave a slow, crooked smile. Then he stepped into the alley and disappeared. I don't know what possessed me, but I parked and followed him. And just like that, he was gone. In his place, a torn newspaper, resting on top of a wooden crate like someone wanted me to find it. The date on the headline made my blood run cold. November 3rd, 2017. The day she died. Same article. Same picture. Same crash. Only now, the story had been marked in red ink. Underlined. Circled. Highlighted in the margins were words like return, unfinished, and payment. I dropped the paper and stumbled backward, and that's when I heard it. A whisper. Right behind me. You left me. I spun around. Nothing. Just the echo of my own breathing and the flicker of dying streetlights. But I swear, the shadows were moving now. The town was shifting. Like it had woken up and remembered what I'd done. I don't know how long I wandered after that. The streets blurred. My thoughts fractured. It was like Hollow Creek had swallowed me whole, and now it was digesting me memory by memory. The layout of the town kept shifting. A corner store that wasn't there before. A street lamp blinking Morse code into the fog. Every direction I turned, there she was again. The same face. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Standing in doorways. Pressed against windows. Sitting motionless in empty cars. They didn't speak. They just watched. And then I heard it again. Her voice. Only this time, it wasn't a whisper. It was right behind me. You remember me now? I turned slowly. There she was. Not one of the copies, her. Hair like I remembered it. Worn flannel she used to steal from my closet. Her wedding ring glinting in the misty air. But her eyes. They weren't angry. They were tired. Sad. Why are you here? I asked. Her answer was a knife in the chest. Because you never left. She stepped closer, and the town around us stilled. No wind. No sound. Even the shadows stopped shifting. You didn't let me go, she said. Not really. You buried my body, but not the guilt. You moved on without ever facing what tore us apart. My throat tightened. I didn't mean to forget, I choked out. I know, she whispered. But you ran. And I stayed. Behind her, the street filled with copies again. All of them bearing her face. All silent. All waiting. What is this place? I asked. She glanced around. This is what you left behind. Your grief. Your regret. Your truth. Suddenly, it made sense. The trapped roads. The time loop. The vanishing man in black. The note on my windshield. I wasn't in a real town. I was in my own personal haunt, a psychic echo formed by unresolved pain. A prison I built brick by brick over 5 years of pretending I was fine. I dropped to my knees. I'm sorry. I know, she said. Can I leave now? She looked at me. Long and quiet. Then nodded. But not before she said one last thing. Don't forget again. When I blinked, the town was gone. Not faded, gone. I was back in my truck. Still parked on the side of a rural exit ramp. The diner? Never there. The gas station? Empty lot. The note? Gone. I turned the key. The engine purred like nothing had happened. But I knew better. Now, whenever I drive alone at night. Whenever the fog rolls in heavy. Whenever I pass through a nameless town. I check the rearview mirror. Sometimes I see her. Just standing there. In the tree line. Not angry. Not sad. Just waiting. And I know she's not haunting me. I'm haunting myself. Because maybe the past doesn't follow us. Maybe it just waits for us to come back.